Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Hum, a Kansas Hoops podcast via the Field of 68. I'm Sam Lance, and I'm with Jackson Bezdek once again. And Jackson, we're at episode 25 now.
Wow.
25 episodes that we have done covering some Kansas basketball. What a ride it has been to get to 25 episodes. It seems like we were just at episode 1 talking about this season preview just the other day, Jackson.
Yeah, I mean, what a ride, like you said. 20 the fact that they let us do this for 25 episodes is pretty crazy. But yeah, and man, good great game Saturday. Best that they've looked like the most fun that the guys have had in a long time and just beat the ever living crap out of Texas on their way out the door. Sea Horns.
Yeah, Kansas absolutely destroyed Texas for their final game in Allen Fieldhouse for a while, and we're going to be getting right into it. So without further ado, let's do this. Episode 25 of The Hum, a Kansas Hoops podcast. Well, Jackson, if there was ever an appropriate way for the Texas Longhorns to play their final game in Allen Fieldhouse for a long, long time, what the Jayhawks did to Texas on Saturday is exactly what you would want. I mean, let's be honest. Kansas dominated the whole entire way of this game. It was actually kind of close at the beginning, but then Kansas had a sequence where Furphy threw down that dunk in transition. Timberlake made a three, threw down his alley-oop slam, and then, yeah, that 12-0 run just completely flipped the game, and from there, Texas just could not recover. Kansas ends up winning 86-67 against Texas. Domination, Jackson. What do we think of
That
Kansas
was awesome.
win?
That was awesome. I mean, we talked about it last episode. Texas games the past couple of years have been, a little nail bitey, a little down to the wire. And so to just come out and absolutely destroy them from jump was, I mean, that was what was going on in that first half. Just like 5 plays could have ended up on the SportsCenter top 10 just from Kansas's first half. Like the fact that Furphy's poster was not even the best dunk of that 4-minute stretch is hilarious. Timberlake, best he's played all year, easily. He looked like he had confidence. I don't know where he got it from. Thank God he did. I mean, everyone played so well, I thought. Oh, Marco had that behind the back pass in there too. That was a beaut. It was yeah, and then there's to keep the pedal down in the second half, like we're gonna go into. Like that's just as important as coming out strong, is you've got to keep your foot on their throat. And Texas didn't have room to breathe the entire game.
Yeah, really, besides that 6-0 run by Texas at the beginning of the second half where Kansas just kept throwing the ball away, it seems like Kansas has spurts like that in every single game this year. But yeah, Kansas just kept throwing it to Texas, and really they couldn't respond and kind of capitalize off of that. So Kansas was able to keep the lead, and really it was like a 15 to 20 point game the entire second half. Texas really never had a chance. 5 people for Kansas in double figures in this game. Hunter Dickinson leading the way with 20 points. Furphy and KJ both had 16 apiece, and then DeJuan Harris had 14, and Nick Timberlake had 13, and was really efficient doing it. The only negative is continued negative, and it was Kevin McCullar, who is out once again in this game. And we had some pretty telling quotes from Bill Self after this game about his status. So let's kind of start with this, Jackson, then kind of evaluate Kansas in their current state with this. So here's what Self said. Basically, I think he was asked like what the concern level with McCullar was long term. And Self said, well, my concern is, will he play again this year? So, it's not a day-to-day deal. It's a week-to-week deal. He obviously won't go on Tuesday, and so I'm not going to put him out there because he's missed so much time. Basically, what he said is he's got to practice for a good week until they feel comfortable putting him back out there so he doesn't re-injure it. And yeah, he says our team has a chance to be the best going into the second week of March. That's whenever Kansas would kind of like him back. So, Yeah, Bill Self basically kind of putting it out there that we might not have Kevin McCullar for quite some time, Jackson.
Yeah, that's definitely that first sentence is not exactly, I think, what anybody wanted to hear. I don't think anybody was really expecting that, it to be that grave potentially that Kevin, we could have already seen his last game. I don't think that's the case. They're definitely being very, very careful with him, knowing that they're already super thin. You don't want to go into March with your best player being at 30%. But I mean, this also is a personal thing for Kevin. Like, he's played his way into a first round pick this year, right? So they're not going to, if it's time for March, just because it's March time, that doesn't mean Bill Self's going to throw him back out there again. That's never how Bill's been. Bill has always, cared a lot about the careers of these guys and life after Kansas. So I definitely believe him when he says that. I mean, the only thing now is can can Kevin's knee just relax for a few weeks and give him some time to get better. But yeah, Kevin has he hasn't really done anything since the OU game. He said it's not been a lot of activity for Kevin McCullar. So I think if you're basically everybody else on the team, you have to prepare that you're not going to see him till at least the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, Jackson, I really think this is kind of a blessing in disguise for Kansas, right? Because, Kevin McCullar, whenever he's back, he's going to be Kevin McCullar. He's going to get rebounds. He's going to play great defense. He's going to drive to the basket. He's going to get fouled. He's going to score points. He's going to be Kevin McCullar. Kansas all season long has been looking for anybody to step up off of this bench. And, I feel like, because we kind of talked about it, that kind of, trial period of just, you got to come in and you got to make a shot. You got to do something. That's out the window now
Yep.
for these Kansas bench players. It's no, you have to play. You have to fill in what Kevin McCullar is what Kansas is losing without him. So, I think it's a blessing in disguise to have guys like Timberlake, Elmarko, Jamari McDowell playing those minutes. And as we saw, Nick Timberlake, man, has some confidence. Like that dude, I don't know if you saw, he hit the Connor
Oh, he was strutting. He was letting them know.
after that alley-oop dunk. Like he was hyped after that, Jackson.
He
So
was letting them know. Dude, even the first play of the game, he took it right to the rim off a little rip through and made a layup. And everyone's like, oh, I think Timberlake was like, you know what? You literally can't take me out today, Bill. So I am going to shoot this every single time
he
I
was
get it.
calling for the ball, Jackson. I have not seen that once this year. After he made that three and dunk, the next few possession, he's there and he was calling for the ball almost every time. I thought it was electric. Like if Nick Timberlake, if Kansas can get that Nick Timberlake off the bench in March, like we're looking at a little Remy action.
No, it's a legit scary option that you have coming off the bench. And like you said, you're absolutely right. You play, especially if there's only two potential guys on the bench that's going to sub in for you. Like, who cares? You're going to play with way more freedom because you are quite literally all we got, my guy. Like, you are the option, so you kind of have to play well. And Jamari stepped up, made a three off the bench. I'll mark dude, I'm excited to see what these guys do, and they're gonna have more minutes. I'm ready to see what they're capable of.
I think a big thing too is a lot of these bench guys like really understand their roles now as we've gotten deeper into the season. Like Nick Timberlake understands, like, yeah, he does have to be a scorer for this team. Marco Jackson understands now that, he's not really that guy. He is a guy who's gonna, feed people down low, dish it off, and he's a guy who's gonna guard the hell out of people and just
Mhm.
try, guarding the basketball, passing the basketball. He's accepted that, and he's been doing really well. And then Parker is Parker, doing his thing. And then Jamari is pretty much the same. He can make shots. He can defend. He rebounds really well. Like I'm starting to get a little excited about this bench because it's been pretty much non-existent all year. And now we're kind of seeing it take in shape, Jackson. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
It's totally fair. There's a lot to be excited about, and to go back to what I said off the top, that was a blast of a game to watch, to go to. It was so fun to be there. The guys are jumping around after every play. And I mean, you're making a highlight play every play. Everyone's going to get fired up. But just in general, I don't know what Bill said to him before the game, or maybe the week off was just that necessary. But it was a very like refreshed looking group, and like
Nobody looked tired.
nobody looked tired. I think Furphy looked a little tired at one point, I noticed, but Bill noticed that, took him out, and then he was in 2 minutes later. It wasn't like he needed some extended break. Like, and that's crazy because those guys are all going to play. And I like talking about the subs, it seemed to be the same kind of, those three go in, three come out. You leave Furphy, you leave KJ, you give Hunter a quick breather, all before TV timeouts. Like they sub at 12:50 or 8:36, get the extra breather going into the timeout. And I thought Bill was he put everybody in a great spot. There were a couple iffy lineups, but that's gonna happen, folks. We're gonna have a lot of iffy lineups.
Yeah, Self said he was actually asked a lot about the subbing pattern and everything
Yeah,
like that after the game, but basically he prioritized the subbing to make sure there's a perimeter shooter in the game. So either Timberlake or Furphy out on the floor, and then he said also post game that he didn't want Hunter and KJ really to be both out at the same time. So that was kind of the thought process for him. It was I believe was it KJ Furphy? That was the pair, and then it was like
it was.
Elmarco, Hunter, and Timberlake was the
Yeah,
other pair. So that was kind of like the rotation that he was using. And Self said that he wants to kind of start doing that to alleviate the starter minutes more. Instead of 36 minutes for the starters, get it down to
yeah,
like 33 or so. So yeah, I think a lot of good things are to come from this Kansas bench moving forward, and they're going to get the opportunity to play coming up here. 4 games left, and Kansas might not have Kevin McCullar. So a lot to look forward to with this Kansas bench.
yep. And like you said, I think it's trending up. I really do.
Yeah. Another thing to talk about from this game is just kind of the pick and roll coverage that Kansas has been using lately. I think this was really big in this Texas game. KJ, he's kind of gone back to guarding the big man a little bit here. Hunter, this is basically what Bill Self has said. Hunter is not so good at these ball screen situations. Like we've been talking about it all year. It's the reason why Hunter Dickinson isn't really on NBA radars as much because he's not great in the pick and roll. Well, this is what Bill Self said. This was the Self quote asking about the pick and roll situation against Texas. He says, we switched ball screens with him, and we didn't get to him twice. One was with Hunter when he was at the 5, so we tried to play somebody else as the 5 man. So that meant Hunter didn't have to guard him. They were talking about Disu in this. So that was good for us. So basically, Hunter decided to guard Dylan Mitchell. And I think it's going to be a trend for Kansas. Whoever on the other team supposedly can't shoot, who's a little bigger, that's who Hunter Dickinson is going to guard. So then KJ Adams can switch screens with everybody else and have that 3-point threat like a Disu kind of neutralized. I think this is going to be a huge thing for Kansas moving forward, just in terms of being able to guard. And they're already a pretty good defensive team.
Mhm. Yeah, that is just great game planning by Bill. Texas, with their two guards, they do run a lot of pick and roll. They have a lot of one pass. Like they don't really run an offense. It's very kind of NBA centric the way they go about things. It's just kind of pick and roll. If you're open, throw it up. Let's get some shots up. And with a guy like Dessou, who, even though Timberlake retired him, I thought he had a pretty decent game. Dessou's he's a good 5-man shooter, like one of the better ones in the Big 12, in my opinion.
Shooting like
And
45%, Jackson. It's crazy.
yeah, I think this year's kind of been like ridiculous, but even over the course of his career, he's been a very, very consistent 3-point shooter. So you don't want to have a guy like Hunter need to guard him anyway because he can stretch it out himself. And they already put Dessou in all their pick and rolls. They're not rolls either. They're picking pops or they're picking, little short roll to where he's at 16, 17 feet. And like you said, KJ is way
Dylan
better.
Mitchell isn't doing that. Dylan Mitchell is
Right,
not
exactly.
up.
They're not even putting him in those situations. If Mitchell's going up to set a screen, he's going to end up on the other block. And Kansas knows that Hunter is very much well suited to stay down there. So even though Dessou is like maybe technically the 5, you don't have to match up positions guarding each other that way, especially when you're starting DeJuan. And then when Kevin's back, 4 guys over 6'7", you're already positionless at that point. So I think we're going to see a lot of Bill's going to try a lot of different things defensively, not because what Kansas does hasn't been working, but just because with who they have on the floor at certain points, the matchups are going to be way different. And I think it's better for Hunter this way too, because doesn't get as tired. He can stay in the game longer. You can do more through him on the offensive end.
Yeah, Texas kind of realized, like start of the game that that's what Kansas was doing, and they started to go with Dylan Mitchell in those pick and roll situations more often, and it really didn't work. I think he had how many points did he have in this game? I'm gonna check real quick. Mitchell he had 12 points, but I think you're gonna take Dylan Mitchell's 12 points on 6 of 10 shooting rather than kind of let Disu do his thing. Disu's averaging 17 a game. Kansas held him to 8 points in this game, so this is going to be a common theme for the rest of the year of Kansas kind of guarding like this. But got a couple more things I want to go over, Jackson. First off, DeJuan Harris, I think needs a little bit of praise because this dude has been amazing lately. In February, he is 4 of 6 games in double figures, and he had only 6 games in double figures the whole entire season leading up to that. And one of those games was on January 30th. So really, in kind of 5 of his last 7 games in February.
Right. Dude, he's been looking at the rim. When he gets inside, his first option is always to pass. But lately it's been, that little floater. He's been looking to get that up way more. He's also kind of been grenaded a few times to where he's got the ball with 6 seconds left on the shot clock. But he's been getting to the rim much easier than he has been all season. He's always like the lays are back, the scoops at the rim.
Earlier in the year, he could not get them to go. Like
Wasn't
he
hitting
just
those.
couldn't.
He was shooting them and he just wasn't really hitting them. Now it's back. He's hitting him. He hit a really tough one in the second half on Saturday. I still don't know how it went in. He went up with his right on the left side, and then I think he kind of caught a body and then went to his left really quickly and kind of shoved it in. It was a very impressive shot. But yeah, when he's rolling off that pick and roll and looking to score, he's a really scary player because once you like consciously decide, okay, we need to not let him score, dude, someone else is scoring. Someone else is going to score because with him on the floor when he's running the point, dude, it's I just love watching him. His pace against a team like Texas, I really like his pace because they're going to have a 6-7 second possession where they're just going to chuck up some garbage shot, and then DeJuan is going to maestro the shit out of you, and he's going to absolutely cook up a beautiful play. And yeah, I'm glad you brought him up because everyone's really hard on him when he scores 4 points on 2 of 8 shooting. And people just kind of, when he gets 12, it's like, oh, thank you, DeJuan. It's not like, hey, that's not his game, but he's doing it because we need him to. So shout out DeJuan.
Yeah, he's averaging over 8 points per game now, which I don't know if you remember kind of early in the season, we said anywhere from 8 to 12 is probably where DeJuan needs to be. And he was not there about a couple weeks ago. And his shot input was not very high. So it's good to see from DeJuan. I actually thought, just a little side note, that El Marco, he played the point guard a good amount in that game against Texas, and I thought he did really well. And I think KU kind of found, sit DeJuan. El Marco isn't really that much of a drop off in terms of kind of controlling the offense. So that was good to see as well. Just last thing I wanted to touch on before we kind of get some BYU, some quick hitters in the under 4. KJ Adams, Rodney Terry at post game basically said that KJ should be the most improved player again in the Big 12 conference. Like I'd never even really thought of that, but like, yeah, like it makes sense. And this is what Self said after the game. He said, Rodney's right. I mean, he was the most improved player in our league last year, and he could win it again this year. That's how good he's done, but he won't. That's not how the voting works.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's not going to, but it's so funny because it's true. You don't really even think about it, but the gap might even be wider this year. Maybe not in terms of numbers and production, it's not, but just of like how he's progressed as a player, how much better he's gotten. He's a legitimate threat from the elbow now. You can't leave him open there. He's going to knock that shot down. He's put a ton of work into that. And he's now expanded his range 10 more feet this season compared to last year. and he's been bringing the ball up, and he's been guarding more guards, which he didn't have to do last year. I mean, maybe it's not even necessarily a improvement thing, as more of a he's just in a different role this year, but he has been a way better basketball player this year. We've been on it all season. Like the games against ranked teams that he has are like mind-blowingly good. I mean, he just seems unstoppable sometimes.
Yeah, it seems like the big games bring the best out of KJ pretty much every time. Well, all right, Jackson, 86-67, dominating win over Texas. Big ol' horns down. Won't have to play Texas again for a while. I would actually be very interested in both Texas and Oklahoma having some sort of it. I don't care which one it is. I think Oklahoma would almost be better for Kansas, but having some sort of home and home like every year sort of deal. Would
I would love to play Texas every year, man. I just have such me growing up watching Kansas basketball. All of those Big 12 championship games were against Texas. A lot of the bigger regular season games were against Texas. Texas had dudes. I mean, they had Pittman, DJ Augustine, obviously Kevin Durant. They had dudes all the time when I was a kid, and they were always it was Kansas, Texas, bro. I mean, once we got into high school and obviously the past few years, they haven't been the basketball program they once were, but those were a lot of those games, like the 2007 Big 12 championship game, the year before Kansas wins the Natty, is like one of my first memories of watching Kansas. And so I'll miss beating up on Texas. I like beating them. But yeah.
Mitch Lightfoot said that it's K-State and then Texas for him as far as rivals. I would honestly agree. Like I can't think of anybody that as a Kansas being around KU, Kansas student, like
Texas brings it
unless
out of
it's
us,
a
man. They
big
do.
non-con game. Like I'm thinking Big 12 teams. Like yeah, I'm excited to play K-State obviously every time, and Texas. Like Texas is
Oh yeah.
probably number two as
Yeah.
far as that
They
goes.
they bring it out of us. I don't know what it is, but Texas comes to town. It's the same deal as K-State. It really is. It's
Right,
just as exciting.
and Lawrence on Saturday was absolutely crazy. Like I remember trying to bike to go pick up food before the game, and I literally couldn't bike on Mass Street because the line of cars was too long. I couldn't bike on the sidewalks. There's too many people. So I had to hit the alley bike to go get my
Nice.
Picklemans. It was
Nice.
interesting. But yeah, those UT fans travel. There's a lot of orange on
Yeah.
Mass.
Yeah.
Well, all right, y'all. Kansas defeating Texas once again. Nick Timberlake, number 5 ESPN Sports Center dunk. Great game. Great way to send out Texas. We'll see y'all at the under 4.
As you guys know by now, we've partnered with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68 as we all get ready for the best month of the year, March Madness. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, you can use the bonus code FIELD150 and you will get $150 in free bets on your first wager with BetMGM, regardless of whether or not you win that first bet. Here's the best part. All you need to do is deposit and bet $5 of your hard-earned money. This is how you make it work. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD150. That's FIELD150. Deposit at least $5 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $150 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your bet. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD150 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available in one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient when I have to go cover games in Philly or New York, which happens quite a bit. When you cross state borders, you just log into your existing account and fire away. You don't have to create a new account in each state. It's easy, it's simple, and it's clean. And most importantly, we have some fun stuff coming up for the conference tournaments and for the NCAA tournament. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boost, and my personal favorite, a nice little parlay boost here and there. So download the BetMGM app and sign up today. Big news, guys. I am thrilled to announce that we have partnered with Autograph, a company founded by the GOAT himself, Tom Brady. The Autograph fandom app gives you access to the best college hoops content, fan contests, and exclusive rewards like discounted tickets, all for doing the things that diehard fans like you already do. following your favorite team in the news and listening to podcasts just like this one. When Tom, and yes, I am calling him Tom, we're on a first name basis these days, co-founded Autograph, he had one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. It works like this: you get all of your college hoops content you want in one place. You get articles from your favorite writers, pods from your favorite hosts, contests from your favorite creators, all on the feeds and the sites that you already enjoy. But instead of having to go to all these different places, it all comes to you in one spot, the Autograph fandom app. But here's the best part: the more content that you consume, the higher you rank in the app. As you consider to level up in status on the app, you can unlock unique rewards curated exclusively for you. So download the free Autograph app in the App Store and use the referral code F68, that's F68, or tap in at the link in the description below or in the podcast app of your choosing to start earning points for doing something as normal as listening to this very podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to The Hum, a Kansas Hoops podcast. We are now here to talk about BYU. The Cougars they were number 25 in the country via the AP poll this past week, but they beat Baylor and then lost to Kansas State. They lost pretty big to Kansas State, so who knows where they'll end up being. But regardless, it will be Kansas versus BYU on Tuesday. And really the biggest thing to look out for in this game is the three-point shooting for BYU. BYU is number 2 in the country in three-point attempts per game. They try 32.5 threes per game. And to kind of put this into perspective, Kansas is number 329 in the country, very, very much so towards the bottom, and they average 17 threes a game, which is...
So it's literally double. It's pretty much literally double, which maybe not sounds like a lot, but when you watch it, it's going to feel like they're shooting a three literally every single possession. I mean, it's going to be a barrage, which, as Kansas fans know, there have been random guys this year that love hitting threes against Kansas. And look, let's get this out of the way now. Nobody is allowed to go on Twitter and whine about BYU making threes because they're going to shoot 40. They're going to go above their average coming into Allen Fieldhouse. They're going to chuck it. Guys, they have this guy. His name is Trevin, and he looks exactly what you think he looks like. And this kid shoots 40% from three, and he shoots a lot of them. So just prepare yourself because he will annoy the crap out of you on tomorrow night.
BYU has 5 people that I'm looking at here in double figures, and they have 2 people who are averaging about 9 points per game. So that's 7 people who are about 9 points a game and above. Of those 7 people, not a single one of them shoots under 30% from three. You got a 35, 40, 30, 37, 66%. I'm guessing that's a very low sample size from our boy Traore, but then 32%, 35, 34. Like, these dudes can shoot the ball, and they are going to shoot the ball, and Kansas is going to have to defend the arc to win this game. It's going to be spooky, Jackson. I feel like this is one of those spooky games, kind of like the Eastern Illinois game earlier in the year, where it's just kind of like, I don't like the way this is going.
Yeah, these teams could not be more different than each other, and it is hilarious that they're in the same conference because BYU is going to shoot 43s. Kansas might shoot 13. BYU is also going to play 11 guys real minutes. I mean, they just are. Look how many guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys averaging over 10 minutes a game for the season. Like they go deep, and those guys they will all play. That's why they got so many guys jumbled up in that points per game average because they kind of they don't all shoot the same amount of shots, but they're all out there for a lot of the same amount of time. And yeah, it's very comedic that this is 11 guys are going to come out here and play real minutes. And Kansas is like, well, we might have 6 guys play, you know?
I feel like BYU has the type of team that would beat Kansas in the NCAA tournament. Like,
right.
That is like the type of makeup that you would expect a team to have. So Kansas, they're going to have to really bear down if they want to win this game. It's going to be a big one. So let's kind of look at the rest of this season. We got BYU at Baylor, Kansas State at Houston. What are we thinking, Jackson? Are we thinking 4-0? The shorts have not disappointed us yet. Are we thinking 4-0 to close? Maybe a chance at the Big 12. What are your just kind of your thoughts?
Look, if Kansas wins at Baylor, which I do think they do, I think Kansas is 3-0 heading into the Houston game. If Houston and Iowa State have dropped the game they needed to by then,
I don't think they will.
Sam, I said if I think Kansas beats Houston, because if that game matters, Bill Self will not lose it. However, if the Big 12 is wrapped up by then, that's definitely Patrick Cassidy's getting in with 3 minutes left because Houston's going to be up 24. But I think 3-1 at the minimum. I think Kansas, I mean, we saw them match up really well with Baylor already. I don't think that was I think they won that game because there was an Allen Fieldhouse and McCullar was hurt and there was so much weird stuff happening at the end of the game. It was like a Twilight Zone moment. I think Kansas outplayed them for a lot of that game, though. And I think they're going to do it again with or without McCullar, even if it's in Waco. And I'm really not excited for that game because I hate Baylor's camera angle. It's so high and it's not enjoyable to watch. But this is, I mean, Kansas State's probably the easiest game left. This is, you got it. This is another statement when you got to make, especially the committee now. I think Kansas is firmly a 2 seed. But look, is Arizona
a 2 and a 3 right now?
Hey, is Arizona going to stop losing? Or, Tennessee might lose another game? I'm not saying it's in the play, but there's a lot of basketball left, and there's only 3 kind of locked up 1 seeds right now. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance.
There's a chance. It's on the board.
This is what I'm kind of feeling right now, Jackson. UCF shattered our hopes and dreams potentially at winning this conference with that performance at their home place. Guess where Iowa State and Houston have to go before the season is over?
UCF. They got to go to UCF.
They got to go to UCF. Can the Knights on, I think it's back-to-back games. Yeah, March 2nd, they got Iowa State coming into town. And then on March 6th, they have Houston coming into town. Can the UCF Golden Knights be the savior that Kansas basketball needs?
Hey, their fans are going to pull out for those games. I know they're going to be there. It'll be rocking like it was against us. I promise you that. Those are massive games hey, if you're UCF, make a statement for yourself. If you're UCF walking out of this season, you guys called us frauds all year. We beat the 3 best teams in the league. All right. First year in it. Come on, Knights.
Yeah, that would be absolutely incredible. And it's probably what Kansas State is, Kansas. Ugh, Kansas State. Why did I just say that? It's probably what Kansas is going to need. Because Iowa State, they got Oklahoma at UCF, BYU at home, and then at Kansas State. I'm not going to lie. I don't think Iowa State's losing one of those games. And then you got Houston. They got Cincinnati at home. They're not losing that. They got at Oklahoma. I don't think they're losing that game. At UCF, and then us. And we need them to lose Cincinnati, Oklahoma, or UCF to have a chance. So it's still not looking good for Kansas, but it's, as far as this team goes, things are looking up right now, and I feel more confident in Kansas as a basketball team today, Jackson, than I have all season long, and that's with Kevin McCullar injured. I don't know about you, but that's just how I feel.
Yeah, me too, 100%. I think we're both kind of putting that on the back of Kevin's going to be not fully healthy, but Kevin's going to be playable by some point. I think if Kevin was for sure out for the year, we'd feel differently, but the guys, hey, they're playing well without him. And I think, him being on the sideline, he sits right by the coaches. I don't know if you see that, but that just kind of tells you the kind of teammate he is and how badly he wants to be out there and how badly he wants these guys to win.
Yeah. Well, without him, we're going to see what Kansas is made of. Upcoming BYU is going to be a hard game. And then really we're going to find out what these guys are made of at Baylor and at Houston, probably the 2 toughest places to play in the conference besides Hilton and of course Allen Fieldhouse. So yeah, it's going to be a really hard down the stretch here for Kansas, but things are looking up. The team is playing well. I'm really excited And I want, of course, the Jayhawks to go to Phoenix because I will be there. So let's hope for that. And that's all we have today, y'all. For the hum, we will see you after BYU and before Baylor on Saturday. Give a little preview of the Bears and talk what is hopefully a Jayhawk W against BYU. We will see you next time, y'all.
Peace.